So we're answering some electrical questions today, and one of them we get a fair bit is, how do I know what size my electrical service is? What does that even mean? The size of your electrical service is about amps, okay? It's about how much current you can use in your house until you've reached the limit of the current you can use. Without getting too much into a conversation about current, voltage, and watts, let's just talk about current, okay? The service size, short answer, is written right on the main breaker of your panel. You can see this one has 100 on it. That means I have a 100 amp service, okay? Almost always you have a choice between two, sometimes three, rarely four numbers, but they're almost always either 100 or 200. Sometimes you get 125. Sometimes in really old houses like pre-war, bungalows, you get 60. Those are pretty rare because they've almost always been replaced by at least 100. Sometimes you get 125, and sometimes in a big house with a lot of stuff, you get a 400 amp service. It's very likely that if you have a 400, you already know about it because your panel is huge and someone told you when you bought the house probably that it's got a 400 amp service because it's pretty unusual. So either you're going to have 100 or 200, almost always. It's written on the main breaker. On a fuse panel, it's written on a little tag. It's a tag that kind of looks like that. It's right beside the big switch. There's a big black switch on most fuse panels. There's a little tag right there. It's written on there. It's kind of small, but you have to look at it closely, and it'll say 100A or 200A. Usually 200s are bigger than the 100s. So what does it mean, and how does it affect your electrical usage depending on the size of service you have? Basically, your service size tells you how many amps you can use all at the same time. And that means how many devices, things, appliances, heaters, all kinds of electrical devices, how many can be on at the same time and the service will still function. So for instance, your air conditioner draws roughly 20, somewhere between just below and just above, depending on the kind of air conditioner you have, around 20 amps, okay? The circuit almost always says 30 on it. Sometimes it says 20 when the air conditioner is small. But just because the breaker says 30 doesn't mean the thing actually draws 30, okay? So your air conditioner will be about 20-ish. If you're using your oven and you're cooking a turkey and boiling potatoes and doing all the Thanksgiving dinner things, you're going to be into nearly 40, maybe 34-ish, 35 amps. So you add those together, now you're at 50 something amps, right? So you're about halfway of your maximum usage. Now, let's say you put the clothes dryer on and you've got a couple of baseboard heaters. Now the amps are the total is starting to come up. It's adding all together. It's getting close to the 100 amp limit. What happens when you reach your limit? Let's say you've got all kinds of stuff on. Maybe you've got a hot tub or a vehicle charger and you turn those things on too, and you're above 100 amps. This is a breaker. It's designed to trip when it's conducting more than 100 amps of current. It'll trip. You'll have to come down and reset it. So the next question is, why am I limited to a certain number of devices? Why can't I have a 100 amp service for a house that has an apartment upstairs, an apartment downstairs, and 2 dryers, and a hot tub, and a vehicle charger, and 2 kitchens? Why can't I do all that? Theoretically, you can. You could have all that stuff on. Or more precisely, you could have all that stuff connected to your service, and you could use it one at a time. As long as you didn't have it all on at the same time, everything would be fine. However, most people are not aware of what they're using as far as electrical power. And they would turn a bunch of stuff on and then they would wonder, oh, why is my whole house not working anymore? And that would be a big nuisance for most people. And so there are rules about how much stuff you can put on an electrical service. And that's the subject maybe of another video, because then we're talking about load calculation, which we'll talk about later. But the answer to what is my service size, there it is. Hope that answers your question. Thank you. So if you've got any questions or comments about today's video, put it right in the comments section, and we will either get back to you right there and answer your question, or we'll make a whole another video about your question and you'll get your question answered. So make sure you write it in the comments, click like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.